Hey everyone, welcome to another drum tutorial. Today we have Chop Suey by System of a Down, the legend John Domain on drums. A little bit legendary because he's got left-hand leads on a lot of stuff, but it's nothing like Toxicity, which is somewhat challenging for right-hand drummers because of all the left-hand leads. This one's got a little bit of left-hand lead at the beginning, but the rest of this is fairly straightforward. The complexity in the song comes from the speed of it, generally speaking. Really great tune though. I've got a drum cover of this, which I'll link to in the description. You'll also find all the chapter markers for this tutorial in that description as well. And if you head over to dukegrooves.com, you'll have a completely free drum transcription of the entire track for you to download. That one's for you. So let's get on it. Intro. Right, we've got 4 bars of silence and then we've got one little stab at the beginning of the track. And I use the drums only audio file for this. Most people have just got a hi-hat in this. What I can hear is a kick drum, a hi-hat, and a choked cymbal. His cymbals have got a really, sounds obvious, but a very metallic sound to them. But what I mean is they really cut through. And you can hear this on the drums only. So what he's doing, I believe, is that and then choking it straight away. So we've got that in bar 5. And then we're going to kick in with this tom idea at the beginning. Very cool idea. So from bar 9, we're going to be playing this. This is the best orchestration that I've got for this, considering that I've got 1 rack and 2 floors. He will orchestrate it slightly differently because he's got a lot more rack toms. Generally, I think he uses the 3 up here. So let's talk about the orchestration. Like I said, there's kind of a left-hand lead. He's hitting both at the beginning on beat 1, but then he's rolling from his left round to his right. So counted out, we're going to have 1 and a hair, 1 and a 2 E and. So that's 1 left, right, left. Kick drums under the quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way through the section. 1, 2, 3, 4. Together, left, right, left. And then we're going to switch back to the right. Right, left, right. So that's floor tom to the second floor tom. Sorry, first floor tom to the second floor tom. 1 and a 2 E and 3 E and a 4 and 1 and a 2 E and 3 E and a 4 and. That repeats for the first 7 bars of this part, and then we're going to have a build up. Now, I completely lost my train of thought then. Yeah, the bracket right at the beginning. So the bracket at the beginning just means a quiet note. He kind of ghosts the first, he puts a ghost note in the first bar of this. It's probably just where he hasn't quite connected with the drum as fully as he wanted to. But if you do want to put that in, the second left hand that you'll play will be quiet, so you get like that rather than the full volume which he does in the rest of it. So you can have that. Now the build up, we're going to use our lowest tom and our highest tom with a kick drum underneath, and we're going to go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Flam at the end, which is a quiet note followed by a loud note and a kick drum underneath it. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. That's going to bring us into our riff. Riff number 1. About 29 seconds into the track. We've got a few characteristics of this. Hi-hat's going to be using this molar technique that I discussed before. It's this. We're going to be doing a wrist shot followed by like an afterthought. Is the best way of describing it, I think. This takes a little bit of practice to get down for some people. Some people do it naturally. If you can't do the molar stroke and you don't want to learn it, I highly recommend you do. But if you want to get on playing with the track rather than learning the technique side of stuff, again, I don't recommend this. But if you do want to do this, play quarter notes where you see 1/8 notes on the hi-hat with the brackets. The brackets just mean a quiet note. And because we're getting it as an afterthought, it's always going to be quieter rather than. But yeah, it's much better to play quarter notes because that's kind of what you're feeling anyway when you're playing the molar technique stuff. So our first riff is going to sound like this. Okay, let's break it down. So, crash cymbal on the 1, straight onto that kind of molar after note on the hi-hat. We got 1 and a 2, excuse me, 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a. So what we've got is the kick drum and the snare drum kind of mimicking each other. We've got the 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 1, a 2, a. On the second bar of this 2-bar phrase, we've got 3 and 4. Okay, so the snare drum is constantly going 1, a 2, 3. Sorry, 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4. Kick drums 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 1, a 2, a 3, and 4. The only time this changes slightly is there's a crash cymbal on beat 4 at the end of the 4th bar of this, and there is no R4 on the snare on the last bar of this. Okay, so what we've got is the crash, our standard groove with a double kick. We got our crash cymbal on 4, bang, continue groove. Then on the last bar, we end the snare on the 4, which brings us into our verse. Verse 1. Okay. Kind of a 10-stroke roll idea for the Rudiment fans out there, which you all should be. Rudiments are awesome. They'll make you a better drummer, promise. So we got this to begin with, 1E. What's actually happening here is I've got all 3 striking together. My hi-hat is slightly open for the first one to get that kind of sound rather than this kind of sound. And I'm going to close it on the E, so I'm going to go 1E. And I close the hi-hat by just raising my heel up and bringing the weight of my leg into the front of my foot. It's not about stamping down on it. And when I'm opening my hi-hat, I'm just rocking back onto my heel and relieving the pressure from the front of my foot. I'm not lifting my leg off the ground, which gives balance issues. If you notice, when you do this, your body wants to fall that way. So I keep my bass underneath, and I'm just going to drop my heel down to open it. Close my foot by lifting my heel up. So we're going to go 1E, 3E and a 4E and a 1E. Okay, so when we do the 3E and a 4E and a, we got kick drums on the 8th notes, and I can hear 16th notes in this. It could just be washy hi-hats and going 3 and 4 and 1E. But I did a drum cover of this as well, as I said, and it sounds cool with that. It sounds correct to me. So, like I say, you can do this if you want. Not a lot of people are going to hear a difference, but I can hear that on the drums only track. We're going to play that little phrase 4 times with a little fill coming out of it. So we got 1E, 3 and a 4E and a 1E, 2E and a 3 and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3 and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3 and a 4E and a. Kick drum underneath that first right hand, into a much more solid riff, which I'll go into now. So coming out of that fill, we're going to have 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. Definitely messed up the counting in a bit, but we'll call that the demonstration. Right, so the first bar, he's got actual quarter notes going on the hi-hat. Again, this is more of a feel thing, so if you're already hitting the molar thing straight away, don't worry, that's absolutely fine. He just starts to incorporate this a little bit more after the crash cymbal in the second bar. So, the first bar, 1, 2, 3, 4, and. Second bar, 1, 2, 3, 4, and. So you've got that crash cymbal on beat 2. He's going to do this more often in the second verse, but it's just that one on this verse. Third bar, basically the same as the first bar without the crash, and we've got the molar hi-hats going on. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, and fourth bar, we got a little fill. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and. So you've got crash, blam, high rack, mid rack if you got it. I'll be using the floor tom. Okay, so the whole thing. And that's going to bring us into our first chorus. Okay, chorus number 1. At about 59 seconds of the track, we hit our first chorus, and it's nice and simple. Probably the easiest part of this track. We're going to have crash on the 1, and we're going to have a halftime fill. Now, all a halftime fill means is that rather than playing 2 and 4 on the snare drum, we're going to be playing it on beat 3 instead. So rather than 1, 2, 3, 4, we get 1, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just checking everything was recording. Right, so 8 bar chorus to begin with. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. That should be fairly self-explanatory. Just note that it is just one kick drum at the beginning of each line rather than the leading in kick from the end of 4. Right, so this is going to bring us into another big riff, kind of like the intro. So we're going to have exactly the same as the intro, without the crash of it at the end. We're going to end there, and then we're going to have what's technically a blast beat, essentially. And it's going to be 1 E and then a 2 E and then a 3 E and then a 4 E and. All this is a single stroke roll with the right hand on the hi-hat and the left hand on the snare. Kick drums underneath the right hand. Like that. So it's going to come out of the riff. I'll go from the beginning of it. Which brings us into verse 2. Verse number 2. Pretty much the same as verse number 1. Tiny little differences. We're not going to have 2 snares on the first couple of stabs. We're just going to have everything but the snares. Like this. The hi-hat is a little bit more open for those really picky with the detail rather than that one first, where it was like that. We've now got that instead. So, same deal, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a... Get to the fourth bar, we have that same coming in. So, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1, 2. Second 4 bars of this are slightly more embellished than the first verse. We've just got some more crash cymbals adding in on beats 2 of each bar. So we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3 and 4 and. Exactly the same fill at the end, still got the crash leading into it. But as I say, for those 4 bars, we've got crashes on the beat 2 of each bar with the same groove as verse 1. Which brings us into the second chorus. Okay, chorus number 2. Bit longer than the first chorus, in fact, double the length, I believe. Yes, double the length. So about 1 minute 39 this kicks in. Now the first 8 bars are basically the same with an additional splash cymbal if you've got it. I think I've got one. I do have one there. Fantastic. So we got 1, 2 and that halftime fill from earlier. At the 5th bar of this phrase, so bar 58, is that splash cymbal. Very quiet in the background. If you haven't got a splash cymbal, don't worry about it. Don't replace it with a crash, it's too intrusive. For the second set of 8 bars in this, where the chorus develops, we've got a development on the kick drum to develop it. So we got crash and a ride and kick on beat 1. This is at bar 62. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 1, 2. That's 1, 2 and 1, 2. That's going to see us out for the rest of the chorus, and we're stopping on the 8th bar of that little phrase, which would be 6, 6, 6, 7, 6, 8, bar 69. So the whole chorus number 2 is going to sound like this. Ending that crash cymbal on beat number 1 at bar 69, yep. And then we've got what's basically a counting for the really fast bit. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Just after Surge says, when angels deserve to die. We're going to count that in. Right, the middle 8. We've got this at about 2 minutes 11, bar 71 if you're following along. Double time riff. So rather than the snares being on the 2 and the 4 or the 3, they're going to be on the and of every bar. So we're going to have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. The kick drum is playing this groove. For these 4 bars. And it's just a speed thing now. We've got no molar thing going on anymore. We're hammering out all the notes. So slowly that's 1, 2 and 3 and 4, 1, 2 and 3 and 4. If speed's an issue, you start it off slow and you start building up, but you will get there with practice, I promise. After the 4th bar of that, we're going to slow right down into half of that time, but what is the full time of the track. So the snares are back on the 2 and 4, bringing the molar strokes back on the hi-hat. And we've got a groove that sounds like this. So we've got kick drums on the 1. Sorry, we've got kick drums on the 1, 3, a 4 and 1, 3, a 4 and crash. Beginning of every bar. 3, a 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4 and. Crashes on the beginning of every bar. I missed 2 there because I make mistakes as well. We then go on to the crash cymbal. We've got molar strokes on the crash cymbal with a couple of accents thrown in as well. Accents are simply notes that are just a little bit louder, and you'll see a little arrowhead over the top of them to mark this. So same kick drum pattern here. We're just moving from our molar strokes here over to here. If you've only got 1 crash cymbal, just use 1 crash cymbal that's there. If you've got a second one, I recommend going over there so you can come back over to these for the accent. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4 and. So those accents are at the beginning of each bar, and you've got the and of 4 at the end of the second bar, those crash cymbals, okay? That's going to bring us on to chorus 3. Okay, chorus number 3. Right, we've got slightly different beginning to this and the same developed ending from the earlier ones with some embellishments on the crash cymbals. So the first 8 bars of this, real nice and simple groove. Half-time feel, snare drums on the 3. We're going to have crash and 2 and 3 and 4 and crash and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Big sounding drum beat. It's really simple, but with everything that's just happened and everything that's coming up, it's perfect for the song. I love these. I love this style of drumming. Simplicity at its best. So we're gonna have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and crash. Back into it. Same as the first 4 bars. We're going to put another crash on beat 3 of the 4th bar. Now we start to develop that groove again. So we're going to have the same kick drum patterns as in chorus 2 of the second half, which was. But we're now adding that crash cymbal on beat 3 with the snares. So the first 2 bars are going to go like this. The second 2 bars go like this. So we have a snare and a crash on beats 3 and 4 of the second bar of that little phrase. So the whole top line is going to do this. Yeah, no it's not, it's going to do this. The second time round of that, if you've got a China cymbal, you'll notice that the crash cymbal that I've written in is a line higher. If you've got that crash cymbal, go for it. Not crash cymbal. If you've got that China cymbal, go for it. It's on the track. If not, hit another crash cymbal. This is going to go around a 3rd time and part of a 4th time before we get to our ending. So repeat that again. Just don't put any crash cymbals on beat 1 of the line when that starts, if that makes sense. There's only, at the beginning of each line, there's only a crash cymbal at the very beginning of this chorus. The rest of them, it just starts on the ride. So after you've done the 3, 4, back to the ride. With 2 kicks. At the end of this track, we've got some stabs to go into the final note of bar 107. We're going to see out our developed section of the chorus, and we're going to go 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. This follows the lyrical rhythm exactly. When angels deserve to die. But that last note is going to be without a snare. So going from bar 103 with the groove, we've got this. Like so. One tiny thing to note is that on bar 105 we haven't got a kick drum on the and of 4 like we've had in the previous bars. This is just because he's setting up that. There's stabs at the end, so he leaves it light with just a ride cymbal. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Right, that brings us to the end of the tutorial. I hope it's been useful to you. Please feel free to drop any comments below. Requests, I am taking them. It just takes me a while to get around to them sometimes. But I am reading them and I will get to them, I promise. You should see some videos dotted around. There's a drums only version of this and a drum cover of this if you want to see it played. I've also put the chapter markings on those as well so that you can follow this with that if necessary. Yeah, cool. Have a good one. See you later.